I'm the Jepoy Vlogs today. American superhero action movie called Ant-Man and the Wasp. Keep an eye out and fare thee well. Here we come. Hot weighing in 3D. Nearly there. The film opens with the famous physicist Hank Pym and his wife Janet's. Several years ago, while working for S.H.I.E.L.D., he discovered magical particles that let people shrink or grow too big. His wife made suits out of these particles and fought the bad guys in 1987, when they had to stop a Soviet nuclear missile from detonating when they landed on the missile reduced it to the size of insects, but even that was insufficient to gain access inside. As a result, Janet made the decision to put her life in danger as time was running out. She further reduced herself until she was the size of a subatomic particle, after which she successfully entered the missile and destroyed it internally, saving the nation from disaster. Jenna, on the other hand, got stuck in the quantum realm during the process, a dimension that is nothing more than an endless void. She tried as hard as she could to get back to her original size. Hank assumed she had passed away as a result of the failure, and he carried on with his life. Hank regains hope that his wife is still alive, that there is a way to get her back, and that if she is still in there, she will be enraged when the Ant-Man Scott Lang escapes the quantum realm several years later. His daughter Hope is also prepared to assist him in any way she can following the Avengers Civil War with Captain America. Scott is among those under house arrest for violating the Sukova agreements in Leipzig. Scott spends most of his day with his best friend Louis playing with his daughter Cassie. However, he has created a miniature playground throughout the house. One day when his feet break the fence by accident, Scott is overjoyed by the revelation and tries to pass the time by playing the drums when the FBI arrives to check on him. Detective Wu tells him to stay out of trouble and that he only has 3 days of house arrest after that. He uses magic and does a lot of things he never thought he would do, but one day, as he was getting in the tub to take a bath, he suddenly started dreaming about playing hide and seek with Janet's, which shocked a young Hope. He calls Hang as soon as he wakes up, and it turns out that they haven't spoken since he was under house arrest. Scott tells him that he had a strange vision about Janet, but he conveniently forgets to mention that it happened while he was in the bath. Scott noticed something flying around the house after Hank concludes that Scott is making fun of him and ends the call. But before he can look into it, it sedates him and makes him fall asleep. When he wakes up, he finds himself driven by Hope. It turns out that she was the insect that was earlier flying around his house. She wants him to meet her dad and help him get Janet back. Scott agrees. He then realizes, however, that he is under house arrest. But when he was just 1 day away from being released, he yells at Hope for taking him away. She explains that she put his ankle bracelet on a huge ant she found in the apartment to calm him down. The FBI will now have. In the following scene, they arrive at Hank's lab, where he appears to have constructed a tunnel into the quantum realm. They have no idea that he has left the house. Hank and Hope are taken aback because Janet loved to play hide and seek, so Scott briefly examines it before beginning to detail his dream. After Scott had spent some time in the quantum realm, they concluded that there was some connection between them. This could also imply that Janet is attempting to communicate with him in order to reveal her precise location. Hank shrinks the lab to the size of a briefcase and takes it with him while he reveals that, despite the fact that the tunnel is almost ready, they are missing one of the most important electronic components. He tells them that they will meet someone who can provide them with it before they leave. Shockingly, a straightforward figure is listening in on them from neighboring the three show up external and eatery. However, just expectation gets in while the folks stay inside the van and scream what is happening. Trust meets a bootleg market seller named Bright Birch and inquires as to whether he has the part she is searching for, the last option. Yes, but when Hope tries to negotiate, he wants a significant sum for it. Hope pretends to leave when Birch refuses, claiming that he has other clients who can offer him a better deal. However, she immediately dons her wasp suit and gets into combat with the Birch's goons. She has blasters and other cutting-edge devices on her suit with the assistance of which she effectively overcomes them. Trust then moves toward Birch and grabs the part from him, however as she's leaving. The transparent figure that was previously a taxer can pass through any solid, rendering Hope's attacks useless when the situation gets out of hand. Even with all of Ant-Man's knowledge, he joins in on the fight. The transparent figure is able to get away with the parts, which only serve to make the situation worse. It also enters Hank's van and steals his briefcase. The old man is furious and devastated because the lab was his only hope of reuniting with Janet. After some time, a scoffer brings the father and daughter to his friend Louis' office because he believes that this is where they should be. No longer safe. The three then, at that point, began coming up with thoughts to get the folder case back. Scott inquires as to whether he knows somebody who can assist them in this present circumstance, and the last option raises his previous companion with charging Foster. It comes to light that they used to be very close to each other. But since of an episode they quit talking in any case, Hank chooses to visit him and request help somewhere else. The straightforward substance removes its veil and uncovers itself to be a young lady. She is Eva Starr. She continues to phase in and out, and her expression shows that she is in a lot of pain. After that, Eva enters a special room to control her powers and take charge. Meanwhile, Scott and the others arrive at the university where Bell works. He is teaching his students there, but he sees Hank right away. He removes everyone. The two are still bitter about their past and are close to getting into a fight. However, Scott sees a detective outside and insists that they must leave before going. Hank says that they can't, despite Bill's explanation that they can find the lab by altering one of the suit's regulators. Make use of the brand new Antman suit because it is still being tested. As a result, Scott suggests that they use the previous one. The main issue is that he gave it to his girl and she has taken it to school in a prize case later. After sneaking into Cassie's school as insects with Scott, everything goes according to plan for a while until Scott's suit breaks down. As he tries to fix his suit, you force him to hide in a room and he grows to the size of a child. This scene and others like it made me sick. Fortunately, they get to Cassie's classroom and retrieve the old suit from her trophy case before anyone can spot them, as Bill described the trio. Then they go to Ava's house in the lab, where they see her resting inside the chamber. They try to sneak out without disturbing her, but Eva knocks them out quickly and ties them to separate chairs, which is shocking. Bill, who adopted Ava after her parents tragically died when she was a child, is revealed to be her mentor. After this, the movie flashes back to Hank's time working for S.H.I.E.L.D., when he had an assistant named Elijah. He did an excellent job. However, as soon as Hank learned that he had sold their ideas on the black market, he fired him immediately. Elias continued to experiment despite this. His primary objective was to reach the quantum realm, for which he constructed a tunnel. However, one day while he was conducting an experiment, the tunnel became unstable. His wife made an attempt to flee with their young daughter, who turns out to be Eva. The young lady ran back for her dad. Soon the passage detonated, killing her folks and leaving her with undermined atoms. Her uncontrolled phasing as a result. Now, Eva and Bill want to make use of Janet's quantum energy to treat her illness and restore her to normal life. As Hank listens to all of this, he suddenly holds his chest and pretends to be having a heart attack, and he orders Bill to quickly retrieve his medications from a small. She is aware that the procedure may cause her death, but she is willing to take the risk. And when the latter does so, a horde of trained responses explodes. Hank tries his best to use the device, but has trouble doing so. After Scott starts acting like Janet and enters some coordinates into the computer, it turns out that she has once more started communicating through his body. They grow to a large size and free the trio, allowing them to escape with the lab in the next scene. Janet uncovers that they had been entering some unacceptable facilitates this time, and that is the reason they lack the ability to track down a hint of her. She is certain that they will meet once more, but she also warns them that they have only 2 hours to make things work before the quantum realm will become so unstable that they won't be able to reach her anywhere else for the next 100 years. As is to be expected, Birch and his gang storm Louis' office and demand to know where Scott is. Louis refuses to betray his friend, but when Birch injects him with a truth serum, he eventually speaks up. At that exact moment, Ava appears out of nowhere and threatens Lagoons to stay away from the sky. What's more, bugs, it turns out she was subtly hearing their discussion and presently she additionally knows where the mysterious lab is based. In the meantime, Birch calls the FBI to let them know that Scott is out in violation of his house arrest. Fortunately, Louis calls his best friend right after they leave and uses a special suit to tell Scott to come home as soon as possible. Manages to pull a Ferris Bueller in the nick of time in the forest. Trust and Hanks contract their lab and are going to leave when out of nowhere the FBI encompasses them. Eva arrives, knocks him out, and steals the lab from one of the cops. When Scott learns about this, he immediately breaks the father and daughter out of the FBI headquarters with his train dance. Lewis also arrives and decides to join them. After that, they track the lab to a building where Bill has already begun his experiments. After quickly being surrounded by enormous ants, he abandons his previous suit and enters the quantum realm to locate Janet after the lab has shrunk. Again, Ava shows up out of nowhere and starts attacking Scott, who is now Antman. Meanwhile, Lewis and Hope manage to get away in a car, and Scott's Eva tricks his friends into joining him in the car, but they are soon chased by Birch and his men in the middle of all the chaos. Eva returns as they engage in combat throughout the city as Scott transforms into a giant man Hope and the Wasp. Birch steals the lab and makes his way to the docks, where he boards a ship to get away. Scott then follows him, and this time he transforms into the largest version of a giant man. He is able to quickly retrieve the lab, but just as he is about to return to the shore, he has trouble breathing due to his size, and he soon passes out in the water and drowns. But fortunately, Hope saves him. Hank, on the other hand, uses the coordinates Janet gave him to navigate through the quantum world until he finds her after years of research and hard work, and the couple is reunited with an emotional. She doesn't even care that he abandoned her for the rest of his life. Eva and Belle arrive at the lab and begin extracting Janet's quantum energy in the hopes of saving Eva. This causes Janet, who is inside the realm, to suddenly lose energy. Meanwhile, the lab returns to its original size in the middle of the city. But fortunately, Scott and Hope arrive and disable the machine before things get out of hand. This gives Hank and Janet enough time to leave the quantum realm. When Hope sees her mother for the first time in over 2 decades, she cannot contain her tears and immediately goes to embrace her. Eva still needs a lot of energy to be fully fixed as the group heads out, but Janet has gained the ability to do so because she has noticed Eva's condition and approaches her and touches her face. Surprisingly, the girl stops phasing after being in the quantum realm for such a long time. Yet, this time Lewis weakens them with the assistance of his companions. Soon the police show up at the scene and capture the troublemakers. In the meantime, following the news of the Antman's videos, criminal investigator Charm accepts that Scott has disregarded his home capture. He rapidly goes to check, however shockingly, his sincerity is noticed by Scott there, who declares that his house arrest is finally over. In the final scene, Hank and Janet appear to start living happily near a beach as the movie appears to end. The scientist couple and Hope set up the quantum tunnel and have Scott enter it to bring back some quantum energy for Eva. However, just as he is about to return, Big Dick Big Daddy Thanos snaps his fingers and wipes out half of the Earth's population. Sadly for Scott, Hank. Lewis finds a wealthy client, and Hope and Scott start a relationship in the post-credit scene. However, things go south. Janet and Trust are totally gone. He has left ignorant regarding what occurred as the radio out of nowhere goes quiet. As the movie comes to a close, we are shown a brief montage of the deserted city of San Francisco in which half of the population has vanished but is still alive inside the sky. Scott is now entangled in the quantum realm and has no way of leaving it. At home, the large hat is still alive and having fun on the drum set. Turn on notifications. Please subscribe for more videos like this, and like the channel to support it. Thank you very much for watching.